to be exposed to the dark.
Wow.
And that's why we end up going through struggle. Struggle is the weightless in this life force resistance exercise.
Mm.
You can't improve who you is unless you go through something that compels you to change.
Right.
Struggle is the fertilizer.
Mm. Mm.
It
That's good.
fertilizes the propensity to change.
Mm. Thank you, Chief. Do you have any time to answer some questions, Chief?
Yeah, we have two questions.
Okay. Somebody wants to know, um, Chief, do we need to sign paperwork? Do we need paperwork?
That's a trap.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you out the gate. When they get to telling you that you're gonna be sovereign if you sign this paperwork, first of all, sovereigns don't use paperwork.
Mm.
They
Okay.
dictators. So in your sovereign capacity, you dictate who you is to the public.
Mm. Wow.
You don't
Okay.
need no paperwork.
Mm.
Your family know who you are. They the ones who legitimizes you on the land when
Mm.
you from the land. And then if you what they call an immigrant, a tribe gonna adopt you. We don't have orphans.
Oh, wow.
Nobody is supposed to be separate without a tribe on the land. Everybody got to tie you into a tribe.
Wow. Okay.
So when everybody tied into the, because remember, we didn't have grocery stores. So the goal is to be able to make sure that under the matriarchy, the first three things that the government is responsible for is food, clothing, and shelter.
Mm.
Everybody had to have equal access to food, clothing, and shelter.
Okay.
Ain't no such thing as homeless because we ain't had it before they came while we got it now.
Right. Okay.
Wasn't no such thing as a criminal because we ain't had no crime, but all of a sudden we got it now.
Right.
We ain't
Right.
had no prisons. They turned all our castles into state buildings, prisons, and mental institutions. We didn't need it before they came. Why we need it now?
Mm.
They turned us against each other like rabid dogs. And then they call themselves peacekeepers in the name of the goddamn law.
Mm.
And all the time, the police is the occupying foreign agency. All police charters go right back to London, England. The operational handbook for all police go right back to London, England.
Wow.
They not from here, but they use the people from here to delude us into believing they are legitimately here,
Mm.
using us against us. So the police, you see whole police forces is quick.
Yeah. All across America.
Yeah. And now you see the National Guard moving in. I've been told them it was going to happen,
Mm.
right? And the sheriffs are going to be start arresting a lot of the people that's calling themselves police.
Mm.
Then they're going to be given three options. Do you want to remain a police officer? That's option number one. Option number two, would you like to be deputized and be a sheriff deputy?
Okay.
Or would you like to take your pension and get the fuck on?
Okay.
And some of them is so power hungry with the badge, they gonna want to be the police. That's how they gonna know who to execute.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Another person, Gary asks, is this why Q and the Q movement said that the end will not be for everyone, meaning that people are not psychologically ready for melanated Americans to take their proper place?
Yeah, well, they gonna be real uncomfortable because we don't give a fuck what they ready for. They about to get it.
Mm-hmm.
We not asking nobody for nothing.
Got that right.
We don't owe them nothing. They owe us everything. So we back for everything they owe. They just so happen to owe us everything. So we want it all. Brand new socks and drawers, the whole shebang.
But under this new regime, I have a feeling that because we are loving people, we're going to treat people with love and kindness. Doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you can abide by,
And
the law
yeah,
of peace,
that's
right?
all of the ones that's going to be allowed to stay. Because all of the ones that was guilty of the dirt, we got the same remorse for them they had for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. While we was cooking on pylons of stacked up wood to a crisp, that's the same mercy we got for the traitors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be some good people that's gonna have to do some real horrible stuff to some real wicked people.
Yeah.
And I hope I get to lead the charge because I ain't got no remorse for them. I got the same remorse they had for us.
Yeah.
When we was minding our business and they decided to come over here and take something from us without even asking, then we would have gave them everything.
Mm.
And if they came in love and truth, then you came in deception and trickery. Ran a whole David Copperfield psychological operation on all of the people.
So did.
You told them that the elephant disappeared. We know the elephant ain't going no goddamn where.
Mm.
She's still there. Matriarch, I can hear her trunk when she roar. So I know she's still there.
Mm.
But you just used some trickery, and I ain't finna try to figure out the trick because I know it's a trick. But it was entertaining while it lasted.
Mm.
Are you not entertained?
Yes, indeed. Somebody asked, do we have to do anything to get our wealth? And another person asked, how will we get it? How is this coming to us? What do we have to do?
So remember, I told you they know who we all are,
Right.
and they know that when they took over, which big mamas was in charge of what region of the land.
Okay.
So they're gonna
Mm.
trace back to that big mama, depending on the region and when it got took over. And
Mm.
then they're gonna follow that line down the mother line through the women. They're not gonna trace your Y chromosome for heritable land rights. Then they're gonna reach out to the individuals that is the eldest female
Mm.
of the bloodlines that come off that particular grandmother to form a tribal structure unit. They know who we all are.
Wow.
That's what we're not getting. They know who everybody is, individual by individual basis. We are all on fire.
That's deep.
And then they got repositories of additional information in state parks around the land where they've stored our records at from pre-Columbian era. Because we
Mm.
wasn't allowed access to our own information. That's why they was able to give us the amnesia as children.
Okay.
Because we don't have our information to teach. Because they miseducating children on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Your seminary schools that became your school system. They did it on purpose. The hardest part for us to realize is this was a war effort. And none of this stuff was haphazard. It was all done deliberately, willfully, with malicious intent to
Mm.
destroy the people of the land so that a foreign people can come in and claim the land as a acquisition through military conquest. Well, we just didn't feel like being beat. So we decided not to let them win.
Mm.
Because they've done enough dirt across the land and we can see it too clearly now. Them
Mm-hmm.
tribes of women out there with the red hand on their face, that ain't just art. That's a whole statement.
Mm.
The bloody hand that covered the mouth to stop the women from screaming.
Mm.
You're not allowed to tell this story or else it's death,
My God.
right? You got other ones that got the hand on different parts of the face. They all mean something different.
Okay.
Some of them got handprints, red handprints on other parts of the body. It all means something different. But the red hand is always the bloody hand that had on the black glove, what we call the black hand.
Mm.
But it was always a nigga hand under that glove. And he was always leading a flock of pale faces.
Let me show you some, Chief. Thank you for that. This is something that somebody that works in the military had sent me. when he and I were talking about this, and he was talking about how, he was telling me some people are being arrested right now. And he was talking about, a lot of people that we know that are in power. And I asked him, what about these so-called dirty Moors that are behind, some of
warring countries. Why? Because they're going to finance both sides of every war. As long as they keep us fighting each other, we won't never look to find out where they at. They gone now.
Okay.
And the reason I know they gone is because where they was living at in the underground bunkers under the Alps, they doing tours over there to show you the largest underground complex in the world. The whole country of Switzerland could hide in them indefinitely. But that's where they was living at.
Okay.
They was living there. And they had outposts in gated communities all over the world. They never associate with regular people. They see regular people as animals, chattel, goyim.
Goyim. Now, are those people on the right that control the people on the left, are they Moors? Are they melanated people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my understanding. Wow.
But the ones on the left that they controlling, those are mostly pale-faced converts of Ukraine. So when in Israel they telling you they fighting to protect the homeland, they not fighting to protect Israel. They fighting to keep the people from realizing what's going on in the Ukraine. Ukraine was actively making biological weapons to be the next wave of plagues on Earth. That's what the whole Russia versus Ukraine and the Joe Biden administration financing them and all that. That's what that's all about, because it's part of the Bush plot, the Garden plot by old man Bush. Global conquest. They activating sleeper cells trying to have certain people that's just bringing too much attention to their program. They want them out of the way. Right? And they focus right now on that little girl named Allie Carter.
Yes.
And the assassin that they tried to activate told them no. Now you got a big old incident in the NO.
Now, why are they focusing on Allie Carter?
Okay. They saying that she's making a underground operation hot. That's the girl on fire in the subway. Right? Then they tying her to, she's exposing the sex trafficking, and that was that boy who's supposed to have been being abused by Puffy, last name Carter.
Right.
Right? And once the green light was given, Jimmy Carter died again.
Right. Well, what was the purpose of them? I don't understand the purpose of them.
This is cold.
Okay.
They activating the sleeper cell. I'm just showing you where the buttons they pushing to activate them.
Okay.
When they give the Jimmy Carter knock, they tell them 100%. They mean absolutely take her out. It's some more stuff with 2 more people that was on fire. All that stuff tied to them activating the sleeper. When the sleeper, who apparently is waking up, he gave them a refusal. So in response to the refusal, it activated another sleeper. The second sleeper that it activated got an Arabic name because they want to tie him to the desecration of the name of the Great Mother, Isis. So when you watch the presidential speech, Joe Biden is blaming the guy's affinity for ISIS, which is CIA. CIA made him, CIA run him. Just like the Hezbollah is created by Mossad, and the Mossad run them too.
Wow.
Hegelian dialectic control both sides from the middle. Right? Yes. So when the second sleeper activated, he went crazy on Bourbon Street. Okay. Bourbon Street is tied to the old Mardi Gras ceremonies. already told us, everybody, we having a year-long Mardi Gras when this stuff over, and Trump already announced the 2025 celebration,
He sure did.
a year-long celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer from the sleeper comes in as a definitive no, I'm not taking the hit.
Mm.
And the code comes out in the name of the geography, NO,
Mm.
because he refused the hit. So
Mm.
in response to him refusing the hit in the event that transpired in New Orleans, that triggers them to send a code to Trump, right?
Okay.
Telling him that whoever is activating the sleeper cells, they trying to blow the spot up,
Mm.
right? But they unsuccessful. Remember,
Mm.
the vehicle that blew up in front of the Vegas Trump Plaza or Trump Hotel didn't do no major damage to the building. It just blew up itself,
Okay.
right? And it's a good possibility that the New Orleans shooter was the person that they wanted to send to get Allie.
Oh.
And instead of him going to get her, he went the other direction to give them the note.
Mm. Mm. Wow.
So now that Trump know that the spot getting hot, right, it's tied to a Tesla coil, and the Tesla coil is a woman with the mitochondrial rights of rulership.
Mm.
369, the three sister scenario,
Mm.
right? So all of these is blatant intelligence codes from the intelligence agencies while they trying to activate sleepers. They also been activating them in the schools. They got
Okay.
on their way out. They just trying to create chaos.
Let's see.
The only problem that they have now is that we not being intimidated by the chaos they creating like they need us to be.
Right. Right. And like we used to be.
Yeah. So they use the drones to desensitize us that the orbs is coming.
Oh. Okay.
So when we so used to seeing so many drones that when we started seeing the orb, just the orb.
Mm. Mm.
Because the last time they tried an alien invasion dry run scenario, Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, the people went crazy.
Mm.
But you use the drones to desensitize them. They know that every time the ship is coming to a place they haven't been to in a period of time, they always send drones ahead as a reconnaissance.
Okay.
They even do it in the military.
Mm.
Before they went to Mars, they were sending rovers.
Mm. Wow. Somebody asked Chief, do you think we're still going to have some type of emergency broadcast system announcement alerting us to all these things? I don't know that you've said this, but I've said it
Yeah,
before.
well, they got one thing I know is this: they have to disclose those tribunals to the public.
Okay.
I know that. I already know that they put a bill before Congress fictitiously because ain't none of it going on for real. But
Mm-hmm.
it was the continuity protocols for the absence of 100 or more senators and congressmen to keep the government going. What that means? They already know that it's going to be more than 100 senators and congressmen missing when they come out and give y'all the disclosure.
Okay.
So they needed a contingency plan so that the people will be aware that the government's still in control, but it's just not the government that was in control.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. The White Hat operation was a military purging of um, domestic enemies infiltrating us at every turn. They
Mm.
call them the deep state, the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati,
Mm.
the wise men of Zion. They are the same motherfuckers.
Mm. Let me show you something, Chief. Thank you for that. Sometimes it just helps me to be in contact with certain people that give me this information. I want to know what you think about this.
He is a legitimate emperor of the earth tribes,
Mm.
right? That's why he's so beloved in Jamaica, because he matched the prophecy of Garvey.
Mm.
Garvey
Okay.
had did a play. The play was the coronation ceremony of the emperor. Well, he was a king in the play, not an emperor.
Mm.
It was, and the king was crowned as the final African king to unite all of Africa. Right. So when the next king to be inaugurated after that was like 30 years later was Haile Selassie.
Mm.
When Haile Selassie get coronated, it rung true the words of Marcus Garvey to the people in Jamaica,
Mm.
that they can now go back to their own culture because they can see what's called African root science being played out in the real world. But the
Okay.
regular people can't see it.
Okay.
The African root science came through Jamaica through a text called the Sacred Parchment Scroll of Black Supremacy, and another book called the Holy Pibby, right? And the other writings from African root science is the Science of Nan Ether by Malachi York. That comes straight out of the Temple Priests of Egypt as
Okay.
the Nine Ether Science, or what we call the Black Science. The
Mm.
science of the noon. The primordial noon is the sacred waters of the Great Mother, in which all creation is created through, in, and around. Everything is permeated by the noon, dark matter,
Okay.
right? And then there was another writing by a guy named Afro Unu,
Mm.
right? And it's called The Nature of Nature, that goes into African root science.
Mm.
And then you have the African root science collection that came out more recently. All of that material go together, and Dr. Richard King's The Science of the Black Dot is also African root science.
Mm.
The black dot is symbol of the Omega Mother, the Dark Mother, but it's also the symbol that represents the reticular formation in the pons region of the brain, where they call the internal black mirror.
Mm.
So when they tell you to look within and see without, that means to shift your vision through your inner eye, which is your pineal gland. All that's African root science. Or
Wow.
black root science is what it was originally called, but they call it African root science now.
Okay. Mm.
But it's still black root science, or what they call the science of the noon. The science of the noon also tells us that whenever Earth is in distress, look for the condition of the matriarchs.
Mm.
So if you're looking for the condition of the matriarchs, you will see where the imbalance is in the structure of the Earth families. We out of balance because we out of order.
Okay.
And this comes into where Noble Drew Ali comes in with the uplifting of fallen humanity, carrying the woman out of the sea admiralty jurisdiction onto the shores of the land, which is
Mm.
the law of the land, which is the great law, governed by the first principle, love,
Mm.
right? And the
Okay.
first principle, love, got a bodyguard called respect,
Mm. Mm.
right? And
Right.
then once we understand how the energy moves through the people, we'll stop falling for things like political separatism. All
Mm-hmm.
politics is based on the same philosophy, traced back to Plato's Republic,
Mm.
and they were having the debates. What they call rhetoric was being debated on the Senate floor,
Okay.
and the democracy was the antithesis of the republic.
Mm.
Every country that's communist today, when they was being established, was screaming democracy.
Yeah.
But we don't know that because we don't read communist material, because they the sworn enemy according to the Cold War narrative.
Wow.
But we ain't know America financed Russia through the whole Cold War,
Mm.
because we ain't looking in the almanac to see where the money going, because they tell us in there every year.
My goodness. Mm.
And that's how come Reagan was able to shut the wall down in Germany. Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall because they cut off the purse strings.
Mm.
right? Now we got to remember also that when the tribes was at war with the English, the French, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Italians, that the only people that came to our aid was from Russia. That wasn't from over here. Russia sent troops to on the Pacific coast and on the Atlantic coast to aid the tribes in the resistance against the European powers. And this is why we allowed to do business with Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
We don't know that he's supporting the tribal restoration in America because it'll also give the Russian tribes back their rights.
Okay. I wondered what his affinity was with us, where that came from. You
It's
know.
historical links.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
A lot of people don't know before Columbus was coming over here, we was going over there.
Over where?
Europe.
Okay.
We it was sisters that sent messages to the pale faced women over there to use yoni magic.
Oh.
This is why they were so dead set on killing witches.
Mm.
They was using yoni magic to make the men stand up against the enemy.
Wow.
You look under the matriarchy. I'm sorry to say it, but you can't be a bitch ass nigga. It's not gonna you're not gonna function properly.
Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Chief, someone, Jenny Mack, hi Jenny, says Kim Clement prophesied about Las Vegas. They knew he was coming. Did they know this was coming years ago?
Now, well,
That
it's in Operation Looking Glass. Most of the stuff we see play out in the public, in order to keep the narrative on pace with what they seen in Operation Looking Glass, they still gonna make it play out, even if somebody died for real.
Mm.
They don't care about that.
Okay. Thank you. Somebody asked, hi, Shamara says, Uncle Rod, how do you feel about the plane crashes?
They shouldn't have been up there because they knew what was going on when they sent them planes up in the air.
Mm. Okay.
Look, you got people on airplanes filming people walking on top of clouds. Make it make sense now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's something in that cloud that they can stand on.
Mm-hmm.
Because a cloud ain't nothing but a bunch of water vapor and other um, particulates that the water vapor picked up along this way, condensation.
Mm.
The densest cloud is the darkest cloud because can't no light penetrate it as it gets denser.
Okay.
So the white cloud, we definitely know that you ain't finna stand on one of them.
Mm.
They know what's going on. They doing all this stuff, and then they not even reporting the plane crashes to the magnitude that they normally do. Normally, that take over the news when one happens.
Absolutely.
Now they just slide it on there. Oh, by the way, a plane crash. And today, what we have in the dog catcher was chasing the cat in the tree. Wait a minute, what did he say? A plane crash?
Yeah.
How do you get from a plane crash to a fireman chasing the cat in the tree?
I learned about it from following somebody on Twitter. I was like, what? We had plane crashes? How come that wasn't in the mainstream news? At least it wasn't
They
all across
they
the
only
net.
reported like 3 of them, but it was way more than that.
Wow.
Them orbs is telling them don't come close to the orbs. The planes can't see them.
Mm.
If they under the plane, he can't see it. And it's going to short out all of the electrical circuitry in the plane. It's just going to turn off in the air. And there ain't nothing you could do about it. That's why the drones was falling.
Mm.
Anything get close to it, if it have an electromagnetic operating system, electric or magnetic, it's going to shut it off.
Okay.
It's got built-in jammers. That's part of the reconnaissance defenses.
Mm.
They already know this. Like, I'm telling y'all stuff that they already know. We just don't have the information all the time to know what we looking at because they be running misdirection. But they tell it to us in movies, and then when somebody say, well, they told you in the movie, oh, that was just entertainment, that wasn't real. And then it exonerates them.
Wow. Somebody had asked a question here earlier and I couldn't find it. I can't find it, but they wanted to know, are all Big Mamas brown indigenous people?
No.
Okay.
You got Asian ones, you got some that pale faces. In the pale face community, the highest ranked ones is gonna have red hair and freckles.
Why is that, Chief?
It's just a bloodline.
Okay.
A bloodline. The bloodline come off of a princess that relocated to Scotland, and they named Scotland and Ireland after her. Name was Scotta. Ireland is named after the priesthood, Orisha.
Oh, wow.
Scotta came over here because the St. Patrick was trying to murder her.
Okay.
So her and her twin sister, they fraternal twins. One of them is buttermilk complexion with freckles and red hair. The other one is about your complexion with freckles and auburn red hair, real dark red.
Wow.
When they came over here, Scotta, she settled in the Appalachia with her children. Scotia settled in what's today known as Nova Scotia. It's named after her. New Scotia is what it really translates. Nova Scotia translates as New Scotia.
Okay.
The people in the Appalachian Mountains, those red-haired, freckle-faced people, them the children of Scotta. In the Orisha pantheon, they call her Momo Brigitte.
Okay.
She's the only pale face in the Orisha pantheon. But in Europe, they call her Saint Bridget. Right? So you can trace her and track her. But she was brought over here by nomads that took sail. We call them Vikings.
Okay.
Right? When they came over here, they was set up by an Apache chief to roam the land as nomads on horseback. Now they ride iron horses. We call them Hell's Angels.
Yes.
The MC13 certification make them the 1%ers. They certified by Big Mama. There's only 1% of active tribes on the land certified that came in as adopted clans.
Okay.
And the ones that formulated the bikers is 1%. They in that category. That's why they call 1%ers. All the rest of the tribes was displaced by the corporation. Right? And then you had the other motorcycle tribes. They being encouraged by Larry, Jeff, and a few other chiefs to form a round table. The reason why they do round tables instead of square tables, because ain't nobody more important at the round table than anybody else. But at the square table, the one sit at the head of the table running.
Okay.
Right. So this is where when Taj put out the Moorish Order of the Round Table material, was dealing with the governmental structures under the Round Table ideologies.
Okay. You mentioned the Hells Angels, and I interviewed David Quigley, and he has told me many times that he is the son of John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., and that his mother paid the Hells Angels to protect him. And I thought that was really interesting because when you hear about the Hells Angels in mainstream media, they make them seem like they're a bunch of thugs and criminals, which, some of them may be, but he
do that to every tribe. Every tribe that's a non-treaty tribe that refused to do business with them is classified as an outlaw tribe, as a non-treaty tribe, as an enemy combatant tribe, or as a gang.
Okay.
All those are the tribes that the government, when they call them a gang, that means they want the rest of the people to not see them as a tribe. But gang don't mean bad.
Okay.
You got to remember, the police the biggest gang on the land.
For real.
And you gotta remember, it was the chief of police out of LA that told us that.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, Chief. I want to get back to, because people are wanting to know, like, how were they going to be notified who the big mama is of their tribe in order to dispense this wealth? I know you said they know who we all are.
They track your genealogy. They track your history. They know who we are. They never not knew who we were. They've been knowing who we was the whole time. The trick wasn't to not get them to know who we was. The trick was to keep us from knowing who we was.
Mm.
When they give it back, they know who to give what back to.
Okay.
Right? And they know us by rank. The higher the rank, the more they know us.
Mm.
They sit there and watch us on social media, watch us through the camera systems, all that stuff you seen on with Will Smith on Enemy of the State. They be doing that to us.
Mm.
Been watching us our whole life, and we thought we was doing something slick. Look, I was a fugitive for 6 years before they locked me up. They knew where I was at every step of the way. And the reason why I knew they knew, because when they finally caught me, they told me where I had been.
Wow.
And how the hell did you know I was in Delaware? I wasn't using my name in Delaware. They told me the name I used.
Dang.
They told me where I worked at.
And you weren't even using your name.
No. You can't be on the run using your name. You ain't on the run for real. I used my name in Chicago.
Mm.
Chicago's so big, don't nobody care who you is.
Mm-hmm.
They just care how you gonna affect the local community. Everywhere I went, I was a blessing.
Wow.
And I ain't know shit back then.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It reminded me of a personal story, a little self-disclosure. My daddy had escaped from prison. People don't know I come from a interesting bloodline. And he was on the run for years. And I was like, dang, you got to be a bad man to like break out of Grafton. He's deceased now, prison. And I was like, gosh, darn it. And they found him like all the way on the West Coast. And I was like, how they track you down? Like you've been running for like 8 to 10 years, because he was a fugitive, we didn't have a close relationship. But it's just crazy the way they found him. And, in the middle of nowhere, I don't even think he was doing anything when he got locked up. I'm like, dang, Dad, you
Look,
made it.
I was in the county in Chicago when they first caught me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they brought another dude in. This dude had been on the run for like 20-something years.
Mm.
Married with a family, been working the job for over 20 years.
Wow.
And they knew where he was at the whole time.
Mm. Crazy. So speaking of, they know where you are. Why is it that some of your social media accounts are not up anymore? Like I think you used to have a YouTube channel, right?
I still got my YouTube, but I don't do anything on my YouTube at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When I come on YouTube, I'm normally on somebody else's channel.
Okay.
My Facebook is the same. I got my Rod Hayes Instagram is gone.
Okay.
So I got Instagram is the SikApe.
Let me see if I can find it. I got it. Okay.
And the other one I got access to, but I haven't been using is Morpheus Mystery.
Illuminati. Soldiers in Illuminati are present everywhere.
Yeah, that's who he was fighting. The Bavarian Illuminati in the Skull and Bone Society was the branch that controlled over here. The Pirates of the Caribbean, who used to store the wealth up in Puerto Rico before they took it back to Europe.
Okay. Sometimes, speaking of they know who you are, sometimes I swear I be feeling targeted, but I don't like focusing on that. But I'm like, how is it that some people can give information and then when certain ones of us give information, they'll shut
negotiations for the contract. I tell them give them whatever they want.
Wow.
You know what happened? Negotiating committee wouldn't ask for nothing. They were so used to taking bribes, and they were so used to doing business where the company come in and say this is going to be the new contract, that when the company found out they was being watched, they wouldn't negotiate in bad faith in order to hold the integrity of the company. But they not telling the negotiating committee that was actively being investigated by the FBI that they was also being investigated, and they had to come with a request. They never, to this day, still haven't took GM, Ford, or Chrysler from the union body's negotiating team a viable relief package for the workers. They still haven't done it. They signed 2 contracts. And all of the contracts is basically a continuation of the one before that don't really benefit the worker to the degree that it should. Right? So they gave a lot of concessions between the 80s and the early 2000s that the company promised to give them back when they was profitable. Now they hitting record profits, over the fence home run profits, and they talking about, oh yeah, we remember that, but we're gonna deal with that one in the next negotiation. No. You making the money now. Pay us.
Right.
You know, but a lot of them thought it was business. They still think it's business as usual. But when it's flipped turn around, I'm gonna be at my local 5960 telling them I made them give y'all everything that I can make them give y'all without sending them totally out of business. I want them to get stock options for the employees. Fuck a pension. Give them stock options. And then when they retire, they stock option cash into a dividend stock that pays out on a regular basis. Since y'all don't think that the worker have value, the workers got more value than the company, so we're gonna take more value than the company. But it comes from people not knowing how hourly rates is calculated, right? It's not calculated by the job. It's calculated by BTUs. About how much energy you expend, your metabolic rate to perform a job. Your calorie expenditure determines what the pay is for your work. But if you ever notice, the more calories you burn, the less you get paid. That means the harder the job is, the lower the pay rate.
Absolutely.
But the smarter the job is, the higher the pay rate. So you got all the thinkers making all the money while all of the workers are struggling. I wonder who thought that up. Must have been the thinkers, and the show wasn't the workers.
Family, we want to thank you all so much for being here. Again, if you are enjoying this conversation or you learned anything, please support our Chief Pontiac, also known as Rod A's, by sending him a blessing, a Cash App blessing, and he would greatly appreciate it. He didn't ask me to do this, but y'all know how I roll. I believe in supporting people that bless us with knowledge, information, and anything that will liberate humanity as a whole. His Cash App, if you care to send him a blessing, is $SikApe. That's $SikAPE. Thank you so much, family. All right, let's see if you have any more questions here, Chief. I don't want to keep you too much longer. But people want to know about Europe. Can you say anything about Europe? Like what's happening over there?
Same thing happening over here. All of those world families that was running before, they all gone. They all about to be gone. The ones that ain't going to be gone. Anybody that was participating in the child trafficking and the human trafficking, they're going to be gone too. Everybody getting it. It ain't no respect to a person. Everybody that was doing the dirt, ain't nobody getting out here without paying for their dirt.
Oh, wow.
Unless getting out of here is how they paying for their dirt.
Is there somebody behind the scenes that's making sure this happens? You know, like Is there really a such thing as the Galactic Federation that's helping to make sure these people pay for
The,
their
the
um,
Galactic Federation ain't making them do nothing. The Earth Alliance is.
Oh,
The
okay.
Galactic Federation can't do nothing without giving the Earth Alliance a chance to clean it up first. That's why it's been taking so long.
Mm,
Because all of the special ops around the planet been being deployed to underground tunnels, underground bunkers, to castles, to underground cities, and they fighting wars in whole cities underground. We don't see this stuff up here,
mm, mm.
right? So they use the cover of the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East,
Mhm.
in order to give us a war to look at, because the war expenditure is not going to match if there's not an active war somewhere.
Okay.
So the military, like it's a hole in the Pentagon's pocket. They did failed their seventh consecutive audit. This
Mm.
one they missing over $500 and some billion. Where the money at,
Yeah, where is it?
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then so we know where it's at. They can't spend a damn and it ain't tracked.
Mm-hmm.
So they know where it went. If they say it went to Black Ops, that meant they went to something that they wanted to keep secret from the people.
Right. Mm. Chief, you know how they say that in order for one kingdom to rise up, another one has to fail?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on President Trump? Do you believe he will eventually step down so that the chiefs on the land will stand up? Or is he a transitional president?
He's 100% a transitional president.
Okay.
He was hand selected by the military and the
Okay.
tribes because of his activism in the casino effort.
Makes sense.
Right? He knew that the people that they trying to pass off as us ain't us.
He said it, didn't he?
Yeah, they don't look like Indians to me. And they don't look like Indians to Indians. And you might say with all of your great wisdom that they look like Indians to you, sir, but they don't look like Indians to me. In all due respect, and they don't look like Indians to Indians.
Mm-hmm. So with him
Then,
being, go ahead. Go
then
ahead.
it's also the prophecy of the man in the red hat from back in 1973.
You are here. I'm glad that and even you are here too. So, without any further delay, let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's talk about what's going on and what has taken place even in the last 7 days that we all need to be aware
Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm having an issue over here.
of. Okay. Oops.
I had another app just start playing on its own.
Oh, okay. There you are. There you are.
Yeah, so it has been a lot going on. Um, I was telling people that Kamala job was to fail miserably as the fall of the whore of Babylon, right?
Okay.
the purple and the pearls for the inauguration was the signal and showed you where you was at in the book of Revelations.